So I have a video detailing out how to load XCP NG Xenserver from bare metal to installed and running it with the XenCenter software. Now, some people don't like the XenCenter software. They would prefer XenOrchestra. The XenCenter software currently wasn't really formatted to work in Linux. It is a Windows application used for managing XCP NG servers. XenOrchestra is a web-based implementation that actually has a lot more features because it allows easier management of large-scale enterprise environments when it comes to having like hundreds of VMs. It's got some really slick backup tools. It's a great product, but like many big products, it's not free. Now, it's really easy to install if you want to just put the free version on your computer. The bash, -c, curl, they have a little deployment script on the downloads. And what you get is the free version that does auto-update and does work really well and will probably cover most people's needs. But if you want some of the more advanced features, well, they do have support plans, and they have enterprise support plans and premium support plans. And these are great. So if you're looking for a solution for your business and you go, I want one of these support plans, they are wonderful about support. Matter of fact, even in the forums, just in the open source forums related to these projects, they do a great job of replying and listening and feedback from their users. And it's overall been a really great project to work with. Now, and this is something a little bit different, what if you're just a home user and you're going, Tom, I just want to get started and play with this, but I don't have $77 a month to spend on it because it's going in my home lab, but I want to have all those features like full backups, rolling snapshots, and all these other cool things. Well, good news, it's open source, so you can compile the source yourself. When you buy it from them, what you're getting is that support that comes with it and a guarantee that all the updates will go very well. When you're compiling from source, well, there's sometimes things you have to fiddle with and get things to work. That's just part of it when you're compiling things yourself. Good news, they have a guide. This is from the XenOrchestra people that walks you through how to set up Node and Yarn, the packages that it's built on and the frameworks that it's built on to get this set up. And I have followed these and they work. I've built systems on here and they have a couple of them on here for different operating systems like BSD if you wanted to build it on top of that. Also, there's this, and this is what we're going to talk about today. The XenOrchestraInstallerUpdater script over here on GitHub, and I'll leave a link to all this, of course, down below. And we're going to talk about how this works. This is actually a pretty slick project that does load XenServer. Now, like I said, this is great for home use. If you're looking to work in the business world with it and use it for your enterprise network, we encourage people to buy the full version. But for home lab people or people want to get started or just try it out with no commitment other than some time and learning into this, great way to get started to see how the features work. So let's jump over to show you how the install works. Now here's a ready loaded Debian VM that I have set up. So I'm just running Debian, latest version. It's all up to date. And I've covered in my other videos how you load or set up a new VM in here. So as long as you have the concept of how to set up a new VM, and if you don't have even the free versions, XenOrchestra will do it, but you could also do this with XenCenter. It's just going through and loading the Debian ISO and loading it. So it's pretty clean install. There's really not much on here. Now, one important part is this has 8 processors assigned to it and 2 gigs of RAM. Because you are compiling from source, much like it sounds, it's a little bit processor intensive when you compile. So one of the important things is 1, be patient, 2, have a fast machine. And if you have a slow machine, and an example would be when I compile from source at home, it's a very long process because my computer at home is so much slower than the computers I have here. So I just don't bother putting a fast server at home. So that is something to consider here is processor allocation will greatly affect how long it takes to do this. Disk space, up to you. 16 gigs is actually plenty. This is not a big program. You're not talking like you're loading Windows here where you have just tons of used space. So you can have a smaller hard drive attached to this because all it's really doing is running the Yarn, running the Node.js servers, and XenOrchestra. None of this program is really big, so it doesn't take a lot of commitment in terms of disk space. And I do have this set to 2 gigs of RAM. That seems to be more than enough for it. It doesn't take a lot to run. All right, let's get into actually how to install it. So the IP address of this machine is 192.168.3.222. So we're just going to go ahead and log into it. All right, so we're logged into this machine. And an important thing that you need to have installed is Git. So make sure you do have Git installed, which I believe I have the latest version on here. Yes, you do need Git because we're pulling this from a GitHub project. Also, I'm doing this in Debian, and this happens a lot whenever I've done any tutorials in Debian. Someone says it's not working with my CentOS. Correct. I'm not as adept at CentOS as I am at Debian, so I'm building this all in Debian, latest version. So if you want this tutorial to work exactly the same, doing it in Debian is going to way you're going to get parity with what I'm doing. Just I'll make sure I'm clear on that part. All right, so now we're going to go over here, and here's the project, clone or download. We'll copy that to the clipboard. So we're just going to go git clone, paste. Does it look right? Yep. Cloning into the installer. Hey, look, there's the installer. And then we're going to just go exo install sh. And here's a couple options. Auto install, update, install without packages, or deploy Docker container. I've never tried the Docker version of it. I've just, when I've built these, used the auto install. And once it's installed, option 2 to run the update. Same script again that you're going to run. So we're going to go ahead and press auto install. Now it's going to run an update. It's going to look for things that are missing and start loading them, installing Yarn. And while this is doing this, we're going to give you a view of what the processors are doing. Installing Node.js. So far, processors are sitting in idle. It's still downloading all the stuff and fetching all the sources. This is still the download part. So now we have this Etsy XO build XenOrchestra. It's got the latest date here. Enabling starting RC bind services. So it's creating all the little pieces. This is a great script this written here by this person because it does things very automatically. Still downloading. All right, now let's get to the compile part. So XO build web, gonna grab a cup of coffee and lay back. Good news, got my coffee right here. And let's look at what's going on. Yep, processors are getting used. And once again, we have all the CPU usage. Now it's doing all the build process. Like I said, this is going to vary based on the machine and how fast it is that you're running. Obviously, lots of threads, lots of high-end processors. This goes fast. This goes about, even on these servers, I think it takes about 15 minutes. We're going to jump ahead in the video because this part's pretty boring. Here's another view of the compile so you can watch things really compiling right here. Look at the CPU usage in this. All right. It has finished. Waiting for port to be open. It's going to sit here and think a minute because it's starting up the service in the background. And away you go. So the IP address of this is 192.168.3.22. So we'll go ahead and copy pasta this. And if you didn't catch it when it was running here, web UI started on port 80, default username admin@admin.net, and password admin. Fair enough. So I'll log in with admin@admin.net, password admin. No, don't save that. Add server, label, demo server. 192.168.3.123 is a server I happen to have loaded already. Root, type in the password. This box here, allow unauthorized certificates. Yep, go ahead and hit connect. No. Let's see if I got all that right. Oh, it is. There we are. We're connected on this. And so we go over here, VMs, hosts. Hey, look at this. Our XCP demo server is up and running. And I think I have at least one. This is confusing to some people. When you first click on the VMs here, it default only shows running VMs. So we're going to do this. And we have another on this particular server system running. And here we are. Here's all the stats pages, and we have the backup features. And I've covered the backup, and I'm probably going to do a new video because I've added some more updates to this for the backup in Gserver. So you have all these features, but no update available for Community Edition. Yes, and manual updates could break current installation due to dependency issues due with cautions. So yes, you do have to manually update this back to the script we talked about before, but now you have a working XenOrchestra with no support. But for home labs, this is great. If this is how you want to run the system, especially when you're in testing mode, it's a quick and easy way to get this up and running. Now, I will note a couple things. One, please change the username and password, because too many people go over here, they're going to go to settings, they're going to users, and they add themselves as a user, but they don't delete the other user. Please do that first. At least, a little bit of security. Also, by the way, it's running on port 80, not 443, not SSL. The way I have dealt with this when we have installed this manually, and I'm not going to do a tutorial today on this. This is just to get you up and running, which is fine for your home office, but it is recommended, of course, because even though you're on a trusted LAN, you probably should be passing everything over HTTPS. Grab your favorite web server and create a proxy for it is one of the easy ways to do this. You can use Nginx, you can use Apache, and there's plenty of instructions on how to proxy things, and it can handle at that point all the SSL certs and handling of that. There probably is a way to set it up so Yarn can handle the HTTPS. I will say that I am not adept enough to do that. I played with it and it seemed more difficult than I expected it to be, or I just didn't understand something when reading through there, because it seems to have some facilities for HTTPS, but I had problems with it. So my answer was to build a proxy to wrap it in using Apache. That was my solution, but for getting you up and running, this will cover it. This gives you the features. You get the dashboard with all the little visual stuff and the statistics. And just with that simple script, I'll leave links below to the XenOrchestraUpdater from GitHub, but it is easy to use and it works just like we showed here for getting things done. And it didn't take too long to install. I think that was probably 12 minutes or so to compile. Let's double check here. How long was the server pinned? So started at 8:38 to 8:42 before the pinning step. All right, so about all of about 7 minutes to compile that on this particular server. And for those of you who will ask me, because I can't remember things like this, what server is it? It is whoops. This is an Intel X5670, so an older Intel Xeon processor in here running at 2.93 gigahertz and 8 cores dedicated to it. So that's your baseline. Takes 7 minutes to compile on this. If you have a slower one, it's going to take longer. If you actually have something really recent, it's probably going to go faster. All right, hopefully this helps. Like I said, leave all the links below, leave comments and feedback, and thank you.